Hi guys, what's going on? My name is Praharsh and welcome to this crash course for Flutter. So in this crash course, you'll learn to create a simple application in Flutter with a single code base for both iOS and Android. The application we are going to develop will be a simple calculator app. Now before we start, you will need to have Flutter already installed on your machine. Of course, if you have any issues installing Flutter or about app development in general, feel free to comment down below. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Also, you should know the basics of object-oriented programming because Flutter uses Dart, which is object-oriented. So let us get started with the development itself. Uh, I just opened a new project and this is a code base that Flutter actually already gives you. So let's go ahead and run this. So while it is loading, I'll show you what will be the outline of the app we'll have to make. So this UI was posted on Dribble and we'll be trying to make something like this. So this is the project that has been compiled and this is the app we just ran by default. So we can see that the app has a app bar and this is a floating action button. When we press this, the label inside the application increases count. So let's go ahead and empty this code and let's write our own now. First of all, we'll import material.dart. We'll be using this file for using material features like the app bar and floating action button. Now we will go ahead and declare a function void main, and in that we'll make an anonymous function which will redirect to method name run app. Now this run app is supplied by Flutter. We'll have to pass a method that will be launching when the app starts. So when the app starts, it will go to void main, which will then run app method, and then we'll be adding one more function inside this run app which will be called. And let's go ahead and write new my app. And since it is not the my app function is not defined right now, it will be giving you an error. Let's create the class my app and we'll extend my app to a stateful widget. The reason why we are extending it in a stateful widget is because we'll be adding a feature in which once we press a button, it will be able to switch to night mode and dark mode. I'll be explaining this more in the future. So I'll give you a brief introduction about widgets. As we have views in Android, in Flutter, we use widgets. Here, the floating action button, this is a widget. This label box, this is a widget. And there are two types of widgets. One is stateless and the other is stateful. So the stateless widgets are the widgets which do not have to change in the entire life cycle of the code. So we use stateless widgets. For example, this label is a stateless widgets because it is not changing. While this label, this is incrementing the number. So we can see that this is a stateful widget. There is basically no difference between stateless and stateful. The difference is only that in stateful widgets, the widgets save the information about their state, and so we are able to update the views, redraw the views on the panel itself. So now let us continue. Now we have declared this method my app and we are extending a stateful widget here. So now whenever we are extending a stateful widget, we will override this method and here we'll return, and here we will override this method and call a function create set, and we will call a new method called, let's say, new my app state. The reason I've used underscore here is to declare this method private. There is no keyword as public or private in Flutter, so we'll be using underscore before the variable names to make them private. Now we will define this class my app state and we will extend it to state, and we'll say it takes the argument my app. Now we'll start the real design creation here. This method will now return a new material app in which we will define a title. Let's say the title is calculator. Define a theme. We'll say theme is new theme data, and we'll specify a primary swatch. Primary swatch is primary color of the material app will be using. So we'll say primary swatch will give colors dot let's say deep purple. So the material I will be making will have a primary color of deep purple. Now we'll be defining brightness. Brightness is the property we'll be using to make a night mode for this app. Let's say for right now, we'll define brightness as light because we'll want to make the app light. So here the title defines the title of the application, and theme defines the color of the application and the look and feel of our app. Now we have to add the home of our app. So when you write home, we can see that it takes home as a child. So for that, we'll create yet another class named, let's say, homepage, and let us create a class for homepage. This homepage class will extend stateful widget, and okay, so as it extends stateful widget, it will create the state and call a new method called homepage state, and then we'll make a method for homepage state. This homepage state will extend state and homepage. Right now, as usual, we'll override, and here we will return scaffold. So what the scaffold is, what it as its name defines, scaffold means it provides a structure for material app in which we can place different material controls like app bar, action button, and nav bar, etc. So okay, so let's say we'll add an app bar first. So let's write app bar. We'll write new app bar, and here we'll write first title, new text, and let's say the text is calculator award was started. This will be the title of the app bar. Now let's say we need to add the icons on the toolbar or the app bar. So for that we have a child called actions, and this child actions take with an array of widgets in which we can define as many icon buttons as we can. So let's define an icon button. Uh, Here, icon button. The first property it will take is icon. We'll take icon and the type of icons dot let's say it's paint. Then let's say tooltip. Tooltip is a text that will be displayed when you long press the icon. Click here to change the theme. Then let's add colors dot let's say let's keep it white. Now let's add an on click listener. We will write on pressed, and let's print when user clicks. For now we'll say the icon is lit. Okay, now what's the error here? Okay, so let's try and run this. So we can see that the app has been successfully compiled and we have the app bar as expected. So let's first go ahead and change this icon to color palette. Yeah. And just to make our code more cleaner, let us add a new dart file, and let's move the access code there. We'll call this home page dart. We'll import packages, sorry, the material line here too, and let's just take this, move it here, and in main let us import home page. Now let us refresh the code and see if any changes are there. We can see that our icon has been updated. So after this icon, let's say we want to design, we want two text fields. One is for getting an input and the other is for getting answers. And we'll need also a flat button for clearing these two text fields. So let us start with the first text field. Let's say I'm declaring a body, and here I'll declare a container. In this container, I'll add child, let's add a child named column, and in this column we'll add children. Now let us add a body here. We'll say body, and then we'll add a column. Inside the body we'll add a container. In that container we will add a new column. We will add a child, which we will add a column. Now inside this column, space it out. Inside this column, we will create an array of children, and the reason I'm declaring this column is because in Flutter we have to make all the widgets based on rows and columns. So here we'll be vertically making columns. So in the first column we will have this first text field, and then in the second column we will have this second bigger the result text view, and then for the keypads we will use the combination of rows and columns to make this whole layout. So let us add new text field. Inside this text field, let's add a hint text. So for adding a hint text, we will write decoration, then new input decoration, then hint text. We will, let's say, start calculating. Now it needs style. Style will write text style, and then we will define the font weight. Let's say font size is 30. Font weight is font weight dot w 400. I'll make it thinner than the normal fonts, because in this mockup the text is thin than normal. After that, I'll let's say align the text to the right. So I'll say text align, and text align dot right. Then I'll define a listener to on tab, and in on tab I'll add a line that is focus scope dot of context dot request focus to new focus node. What this line does is when we click on the text view, by default in Android and iOS the keyboard pops up. We don't want that to happen, because we are making our old keypad fields, so we don't want the keyboard interrupting each and every time we tap on the text field. So this line will ensure that the keyboard will not come up. So let's run this. so that text appears normally. So let us add the second text box, which will be a little bit larger, and we just have to copy the first one. We'll add a comma. Uh, Here, let's say it is result, and font weight will be the same. And let us add colors. Colors dot be purple. Okay. Text align to right, and let us say the size of the text is 40. We'll run it. It appears. So both of these text boxes are like touching each other. Let us define a padding in column here. We'll say main axis alignment, and then we'll say main axis alignment dot space around. So what it does is it will give out equal spaces to each and every view. Now once we add the trackpad, it will look a little bit normal. So with the text views are done, let us make functions for adding trackpads. Now let's say, so as I said, for trackpad, we'll need to return rows. So I'll make a function which will return a row whose name is button. Let's say row1 container. Here it will return row. In the row, we'll set a main axis alignment to. So one more thing important is when you define a column and set the column, you define main axis alignment. That main axis alignment for column will be horizontal, and cross axis alignment for a column will be vertical. Same ways, uh, in the row, the main axis alignment will be horizontal, and cross axis will be vertical. So after declaring a space around, let us say it is space evenly. It will evenly distribute the spaces between the buttons. Again, we will define children, and inside children, we will define new. Let's say flat button. Uh, this is on pressed. Let us skip it. We'll keep on pressed here for now. In child, we will have a text box, so we'll see text, and the text for the first row, the first button will be 7, so 7. Then we'll define the style, text style, and here we'll write font size. Font size will be 35. Then we'll write color. Color will be blue colors. Which one? Blue gray, yes. And then the style is over on pressed. So let us make, okay, let us complete the whole row first. This is 7, 8, 9, and then divide. So this is our first row complete. Let us similarly make another functions for rest of the rows. Row 2, row 3, then 4. In the same way, we will rewrite this 4, 5, 6, and here will be subtraction 1, 2, 3, and okay, here will be into. Here's subtraction and point 0, and here will be plus. So right here we need an icon button because it is backspace and we can't represent it with a text. So instead let us define, instead of text, let us write icon, and inside this, let us say icons dot backspace, size will be the same, that is 35, and we'll define color dot blue gray. Child is the icon. So that is done. Now we need to pass all these rows into a column so that they can be arranged vertically, and then we will be passing it to the main body. So let us make another function here, which will return, which will take all these rows, make a column, and return that column into the main body. So let us say that column will be the function will return column, obviously. Column function's name be keypad container, and return a column, children. Here we will pass all these functions. Yeah, so here we will pass all these functions we declared just now. 0, 2, 3, and 4. Let us recompile and see if it gives an error. Okay, I forgot to pass this function in the body. So it will be inside the widget here. Keypad container. Hot reload, and there we have our full keyboard. Now we also need to add an is equals to button. Let's just add it here after directly. It's a child of flat button. Okay, it is a flat button having a text, having a child with a text equals. We will add style. We will add font size and 35. Colors dot white, and so for this button the text color is white and the color of the button is purple. So we will come out of the text property and set the color text white. We'll say color is color dot colors.deepPurple. Now if we on pressed is required, okay, we'll leave it empty for now. Okay, so we can see that the button is right here in the center. We need to make it to the right, plus we need to add some border rounding. So for that we will say shape new rounded rectangular border, and then we'll say border radius not circular, and let us keep the radius as 20. So now we can see that it has given us a rounded look. Now we just have to shift it to the right. So for that we'll have to add padding. Yeah. So for adding padding, we'll have to make it a child of alignment. So we'll say new align, and then we'll define alignment dot, let's say, center right, and it needs a child, so this is a child. Flat button. Let us refresh, and we can see that it has shifted to right, but it is sticking to the right without leaving any margin or padding. So we will also have to make it the child of padding. So inside this we'll write child, and we'll say padding, and in padding we'll write edge insets not symmetric. Symmetric means the padding will be done in symmetrical, that can be vertical and horizontal ways. So let's say for here we want horizontal, and let's say 10 for both sides. So this is the first argument that padding will take. The another one is child, and in this child we'll have to pass this flat button. So do this. Okay, so it has come right to the line, but now we can see that the keypad overall has shifted too much up. So we can define one more empty padding before we have defined this keypad container. So let's say I'm giving it a padding of edge insets and all meaning it will be giving padding to all the four sides of the child. So we want a padding of approximately 50. Hot reload, and yeah, it's the it is a little bit similar to what we want. So now what I want is when I press this palette, it should change to night mode, and when I again press this, it should change to light mode. So for that, we will have to change uh, we will have to add two color variables which will be controlling the app bar, and we will have to add one brightness variable which will be controlling the whole which will be controlling and saving the state of the whole light or dark theme that the user wants. So here let us define two color variables. First one is color app bar and color app bar text. So the first one, color app bar, will be having the color data of the app bar itself. We don't want purple colored app bar. We want it to either be white like this in this mockup, or be dark. And the app bar text. So once the app bar's color is changing, the color of the text itself will change too. So we will store the value of color app bar text. So before we do that, we will have to add the functionality to change the app's theme to light and dark theme. So for that we will define a. So in main.dark, first of all, let us declare a brightness variable. We'll say brightness and brightness. So we will give this the value of this brightness variable to the brightness that we are passing here, and let's say this is brightness dot light. So by default, the application will have light colored brightness. Uh, we want this. Yeah. So by default, once the app opens, it will have light. And what we want here is once we press this icon button, the brightness will change to dark. So uh, do something interesting here. In this home page class, we will define a constructor that is home page, and then we will okay, before even defining the constructor, we will declare a final void callback, and let's say it is brightness callback. So this callback, what is this brightness callback? So this we will be using this brightness callback to take the value from here from the on pressed of the action but icon button, and then we will use it here to change the color of the theme. So for that we will need to accept a brightness callback value in here. So we will say this dot brightness callback. What I did here is I could instead of this I could have written this dot brightness callback equals and then the variable, but Flutter allows us to just write this dot brightness callback. So whichever value is called in home page, it will be automatically tied to this uh, brightness callback variable. So now we will use this brightness callback in here on press. So on press we will say brightness callback. It should be widget dot brightness callback, and let's make it a one-line function. So whenever the user presses this, on press will be called, widget dot brightness callback will be called, and then it will be transferred to here. Now what we will do is this home page, which we defined a constructor of, is called here, right? So we will make this a function. It is home page. So inside this, we'll make a function, and here we will compare the value of brightness, and then we will change the value and then update the app. So we will say that at the beginning, if brightness is brightness dot light, need to compare, then uh, obviously make it dark, right? And then while doing this, we will call a method called set state. So what this does is whenever we need to update the UI, whenever we need to update any stateless widget, we need to call set state. What it does is, for example, we are changing the value of brightness here. So it will force the Flutter, the app to redraw itself. And so we will be able to see the changes. If I didn't have written set state here, it would have changed the brightness value, but it wouldn't have updated the app's view itself. So let's go back, brightness. Now else the opposite will happen. That is, it will become light. And okay, It's all done now, I guess. What are the issues? Okay, so it is working now. All the text and everything is being changed. So you see that even the text and everything, we don't have to handle that. It is being automatically changed by Flutter. Let's say that uh, we have implemented this very well, and the issue here lies that once the user closes the apps and then restarts it, it won't know. Sorry, it wasn't closed properly. It won't know that the last action chosen by the user was dark brightness, so it will default to light. So what can we do to save the change? So for that we have a library called shared preferences. So just head on to pubspec.yml, and here under dependencies, let's write shared this packages.get. Let us implement this package. Okay, it won't be here. We begin with here dependencies packages.get. Now let's head on to main.dart. Import the line, package, and shared preferences library. Now, in the class myAppState, let us make a function called load save preference, or let's say is load saved brightness value, right? And here we will define the object of the shared preferences. So we'll write shared preferences if equals await. I'm writing await here because this is an asynchronous task and it won't be executed line by line. So we need to write await here. Then preferences dot get instance. So I have initialized the object here. Now to get a saved value, let's say dot get bool, and here we'll be able to save values for our application in different types. Like we will able to save boolean expressions, we'll able to save strings, we'll able to save keys. So sorry, integers. So we will be able to get the values by pref dot get bool and then the name of the key. So let's say this is light, and let's say this will get the value of is light. Let's say the default value of this is true. This question mark signifies that if the key in is light is null, then it will by default give true. I'll say if it is true, then we'll return brightness dot light, or we'll return dark. So now, as this is an asynchronous method, we need to write async after the method name. So we are successfully retrieving the value of brightness here. But since this is an asynchronous process, we won't be able to load this brightness value just when we are giving it to the brightness, because it can take some time after we have actually called. So instead of calling it here, let us make a constructor here. My app state, and this method will be called every time the app runs. Now, once the value of brightness is updated, we will also have to call set state, or else the UI won't be updated. Okay, so the value will be able to receive the value successfully here, but now we haven't written a way in which we can save the value. So let us also make a function here alongside load. Let's comment here load save the references, and we'll make a method name save brightness values. We will take a boolean variable, let's say real value, and this method also will be asynchronous. Now we will obviously make an object of shared preferences pref equals await dot get instance, and now we'll say preference dot set bool, and then the key we used here was is light, so it says is light, and the value here will be the value of this boolean variable, whichever will be called. And so we will save this value each and every time the user presses this icon. So that is here. So if it is light, the darkness will be dark. So we'll say save brightness values, and this will be false since it will be dark. And here will be true. Okay, so let us see if it really works. So we'll press this icon. Let us exit this app and let us reopen. Okay, so as you can see, it retained its state. It successfully reloaded the boolean value, and now it is dark mode. Let us again turn it into white and relaunch it. Awesome. So now our next step is actually implementing the functionality of calculator. So first of all, what we'll have to do is once we press these digits, it should enter the digits into the first text field. So what we will do is we will define two text controller inputs for controlling the text that goes and comes out into both of these text fields. Let us go into homepage.dart and let's declare both of the text controllers here. Now this text controller will be used for the first text view, the first text field, and the result one will be used for the second text field. So let us assign the values to both of the text fields. We'll say on controller, and then we'll give the controller, and for second one controller and text controller result. Now we have to make sure that once we press these keys, the text goes into the text controller. So for that, I'll call text controller input. Sorry, it will be inside the body text controller input dot text equals, and then I'll say whatever the text is already present inside the controller. After that, enter 7. Simple. I'll do similar thing for 7, 8, let's say 9. Will be division here. Same thing will be going into all the buttons. There will be 4, 5, 6, and multiplication star. Right. So you can see that it is being entered without any problem. Okay, let me complete this. 1, 2, 3, minus. Same for here, will be decimal point 0. This is backspace, so I'll leave it for now. Now we'll do backspace. So for backspace, what we have to do is check if there is, the size of the text is more than 0. If it is, that it means that there is any character left inside the text field. And if there is, just delete the last one. So we will say that question mark dot size length is greater than 0, then length is greater than 0, then it means text is present. So we will delete the last text, the last digit. So we will take the string and we will call substring 0, comma 0, meaning that, for example, we have the string 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what substring will do is substring takes two values. The first digit is the starting digit and the second value is the ending value. So for example, I'm writing 0, comma 3. So it will start from 0, that is 1, then sorry 0, 1, 2 and 3. It will return these values. So what we want is the whole number except for the last number. So we will pass 0 for first, and the second will be whatever the length of the string is subtracted by 1. So the first value is 0, second is whatever the length of the text is minus 1, or else if it is already empty, then do nothing, return empty string plus. So the actual entering of the numbers is done. Now the calculation of our app is left. So the calculation will happen once we press the equals to button. So in on press, we have the string of the calculation that we need to do, and we need to parse this string and then calculate and then give the answer to the second text input. So let us first test if this is working or not. Okay, what is the problem? Yeah, so here, so I forgot to give the string value to the first text controller. Try again, and it's 7. Okay, it is deleting properly and it isn't giving an error once all the digits are finished. Cool. Now let us see how to actually calculate everything. So we have a library called math expression in Flutter. So what this library will help us to do is it will actually parse the whole string without having us write the whole algorithm for parsing that string into integers and operators and then doing the calculation separately. So let us install this. We'll update the dependencies in YML file. We'll go here, get the packages, go into our homepage.dart. Now let us import the package file. Now here it shows how we can parse the actual string. So we need to make a object of parser, then pass our string to parse, and then call exp.evaluate to get the answer. let's do the same in this button. We have made an object of parser. We'll pass our string here, and okay, and we will say text controller result dot text equals the answer of the parsed string, that is eval. Sorry, exp dot evaluate evaluation type dot real, and then the context, that is cm. And let's not forget to call set state here, because we need to update the result text box. Okay, we are getting the answer. And the theme is changing the text dynamically too. So it is almost over. We can add an icon here to clear everything. It will be just like this. We will add a new icon button, and the icon will be icons dot cancel icon off. Icons dot cancel, and on press I'll say so on press we have to empty both the text controllers. So text control dot input dot text is nothing, and similarly for result. Let us hot reload and try it. The functionality is working, but we need to shift this button to the right. So first let us shift it above the padding, and here let us give it a padding. We will give it a new alignment, and this will define alignment dot right. Center right. Then we'll pass this as a child. Now it will shift to the right, but it does have padding, so we don't need to do anything. Result, and yeah, it clears fine. So now few of the last things we need to do is add some kind of coloring to this icons right here, and we need to change the color of the status bar, app bar, every time we change the light theme to dark theme, because as you can see here, color of the status bar changes with both the themes. So first of all, let us color the buttons. Here we just need to change these buttons, the first division. We will say the color property will be color, let us define an ARGB for it, because we need to set some amount of transparency in it. So for this, let's say it is 50, and what is the color value? So you can see that it is 31, 29, and 34 for color value for this box. Yeah, so now we just have to update the app bar colors now. Okay, a few minutes ago I declared these two color variables and we will be using it now. So as I said, the reason I declared this here globally is because I can access them from me. Now, each time we load brightness values, will also be loading uh, these values. So let's say if brightness is light, we would want that the color of app bar would be light. So I'll say app bar color app bar is no, color of the app bar will be colors dot white, and the color of the text will be exactly opposite of what we gave it to the app bar. So let's say it's uh, black, let's say it's black 87, and will be exactly opposite if the theme is dark. So when it is dark, we'll be giving here black, will be white here. Now we'll set the same here. So once we click the button before save brightness here, if it is light, then make it dark, right? It will be black 87 and white, and same here. Now we just have to assign these values to the app bar here. App bar, new app bar, color is white, and the color, okay, this should be text, and the color of app bar will define, why isn't there a color? Okay, background color is CLR app bar. Now we'll also have to change the color of this text. So we'll say style, and I think it has a property of color. No, style, new text style, then color, CLR text. Sorry. Awesome. Now it should be almost done. Awesome. So we can see that the color of the app bar is changing with the color uh, of the app. Also, we need to make sure that the shadow doesn't appear. So we can also try elevation to 0. Yeah, it looks a little bit cleaner, and like you can change the blackness values from here. You can say, let's make it black 12. Black 12, reload. Yeah, it looks better. Yeah. Okay. So this was it. You can find the source code on GitHub here. You'll be able to find the link of the application and everything I used in this video down below in the description. And thank you for watching this video. Feel free to hit like if it helped you. Thanks.